Hey there everybody, it's Brian. Welcome back to Brianopolis. Today I want to do a video, very special video, because I just went and got my driver's license from Florida again. So I am officially a Florida resident. And for those of you who don't know, I've actually lived in Florida multiple times in my life. I moved here for the first time in the late 1990s. And then I left and went to New York, and then or Jersey actually. Then I came back after 9/11, and then I went back up north, lived in Philly. I came back down to Florida, then I left and went out to Albuquerque, blah, blah, blah. I mean, every time I come here, I ended up leaving, but this time I'm planning on sticking around because I have found a city that just fits me perfectly to a T. And I want to talk about that today and why Orlando is the place for me, why Central Florida beat out South Florida when I returned this time. Because every other time I've lived in Florida, I've lived in South Florida. And I've lived all over South Florida, from Miami Beach all the way up to Lake Worth, West Palm. Lived in right outside of Wilton Manors in Oakland Park. I lived in Hollywood. So South Florida was always the place that I went prior to this time. Now this time is different because I had an opportunity to rent a room from a friend down here, and I had never really wanted to come to Orlando because when I did come here for a visit back in the day, I found it to be very boring, seemed a little bit vapid to me. It didn't really have I don't know, it was missing some kind of flair that Miami had. Miami is a very international city, obviously, because it is considered the capital of Latin America. I actually went there with the intention of learning Spanish back in the 90s, and within 8 months I was fluent in Spanish just because I was immersed in the language and culture. There were no Americans at that time, and there really aren't even a lot of just regular old middle-of-the-road Americans down there. I mean, most of the Americans that live down there are pretty international themselves. People speak multiple languages. When I was there, I worked in places where you actually had to speak Spanish in order to get a job. I was working in the food service industry, and in Miami Beach, South Beach, you had to have Spanish on your resume or you didn't get a job. So that's why I learned. Anyway, long story short, I just stayed away from Orlando because it just seemed like the place that everybody went to for their vacation. They came here to go to Disney and Universal, and you know, at that time it just didn't interest me that much that I would want to live in a place just so that I could be close to those kinds of amenities. That being said, when I came back about 2 months ago, I was utterly, I don't want to say in shock, because it wasn't like I was in shock, but I was super impressed with the way this city has grown over the past 20-25 years. It definitely has a much more international vibe than I remember it having before. And I'm not talking about, you know, the visitors obviously at the parks, but just the entire city itself has this really great international vibe to it. It's a big sprawling area. Central Florida is actually a megalopolis similar to South Florida, which is also a megalopolis. If those of you who don't know what a megalopolis is, let me explain real quick. It's a conglomeration of multiple cities in one congruous, is that the right word? Congruent, I'm sorry. One congruent city. Like, it feels like it's one location. When you're in South Florida, even though there are lots of different parts of that area, it does feel like when you're in South Florida, you're in one spot. And if you're in Miami, you might go shopping in Boca, you know? So Orlando and Central Florida is similar to that. When I think of Central Florida, I think of, you know, from Tampa area all the way over to like Cocoa on the East Coast, and maybe even, it might even include, I don't know if it really does, because Northeast Florida is like Jacksonville, and this isn't really part of the Central Florida area. So yeah, maybe as far up as Ocala, I don't know, but basically Central Florida is a massive sprawling area, but it has little pockets of urbanism, which I absolutely love. The downtown has grown really beautifully. It has, you know, a lot of downtown living as well as shopping and restaurants, so it feels like a nice space to live. When I was in Orlando before, the downtown just felt like a place that didn't have any life to it, you know? And Miami used to be like that too. Miami would board up in the evenings and, you know, people would go to South Beach and hang out. Now Miami has grown, and Miami itself is a great place to live and work and play and shop and all of that kind of stuff. So I guess that's happening, you know, as a natural occurrence of these places growing up and becoming older and more mature. But Orlando also doesn't feel as crushed with people. Miami and the South Florida area has just become so jam-packed with population over the past 25 years that it's not the same place that I went to when I was in my 20s. When I first went to Miami, I was in Miami Beach at a time when they didn't really have high-rises in Miami Beach at all. Most of the you know, whether you were vacationing there or living there, you lived in little Art Deco type buildings, mid-century modern apartment flats, things like that. And there were some high-rises along the bay side of Miami, but now, or Miami Beach, but now it's just all over the place. So the density has really increased in Fort Lauderdale as well. I mean, Fort Lauderdale was just a tiny little backwater type city, which was really kind of cool, and it was like very underbelly at the time. You know, it was sort of one of these places where people just sort of went to drop off the radar. But now it's like this, you know, huge city with high rises and lots of different shopping districts and lots of nightlife all over the place, not just at the beach, not just at Las Olas Boulevard, but just everywhere. Wilton Manors has grown up. Wilton Manors is the sort of gay neighborhood or the gay little city within Fort Lauderdale, and that has grown up quite a bit as well. They've got a very bustling strip that has restaurants and shops and even some, you know, larger architecturally buildings that people live in, apartment blocks, things like that were never there before. So when I went back there last summer just to check it out, I just really did not get the same vibe that I was looking for from the past. And I was like, you know, you can't go back. So I ended up going all around the country looking for some place that just really fit my vibe. And the only place that I found really that I loved was Eureka, California, like sort of that northern coast of California type thing. But it was just so remote from my entire life and my entire existence and everything that I knew and understood culturally. So I thought, let me get back to the East Coast, figure things out, and came down to Orlando, and I love it. I can't tell you how much I love it, but, well, let me just tell you, it's a damn lot that I love it. So there's a big Brazilian community here, which I love because obviously I speak Portuguese, and I really enjoy the food and the culture and the music and the nightlife. And as soon as things get better, which they are soon, because I'm going to be vaccinated soon, and you know the world is going to come back to some normalcy, hopefully by the fall, and those kinds of things are going to really matter at that point. There's also more job opportunities here. I'm hoping that by this fall I'll be able to pick up some classes. I'm an adjunct usually in Florida. I teach student success, and so I have a lot of experience doing that in the Miami-Dade school or the Miami-Dade college system, and so I'm hoping to transfer that up here to the Valencia college system. Right now they're not really hiring, but by the fall I know that they'll be looking for more English teachers, and I hope to do more of that, even as a part-time along with a full-time job. And I love that there's a lot of opportunities to do my vlogging here. My YouTube channel is really growing. It's almost doubled in size just in the past 28 days. And so if I can keep that up and double in size for the next couple of months, continue that trend, then I'm going to reach 1,000 subscribers and I'll be able to monetize my site. And there are a lot of places around here that garner attention to my YouTube channel because everyone does want to come here, and it's such a great city to visit. So I just have found that this is going to fulfill my current needs and hopefully future needs, because I would eventually like to buy a place down here, maybe a condo or a townhome. And fortunately, because the past 4 or 5 years when I was working at that resort up in Virginia, I was able to be part of an ESOP program that when I'm 55, I'll be able to start accessing that money and investing that in the way that I choose to invest it. And I'd like to get a property and, you know, have a full-time home, and that will be here in Orlando. So, but the shopping here is great. Like, I went today, I needed a couple of shirts because I didn't have anything to fit the weather. I actually got this shirt very cheap, actually. It's like a $70 shirt, and it was less than $20 because I found it at a Dillard's outlet. We have a Dillard's outlet here, which I love because most big and tall stores, none that I've ever been to, have much more than a tiny clearance section. And so Dillard's has their big and tall, you know, stores all around the country. They have a department for big and tall in all of their stores, and that stuff gets filtered down here to, you know, multiple clearance centers. One of them is here in Orlando, just real close to the house where I'm living. So I was able to get a couple of shirts for very cheap today, and that feels really good because my wardrobe is not suited for Florida. I still have a lot of stuff in storage up in Virginia that I'm not able to get right now, and so and even what I did have up there is not the kind of clothes you need down here when it gets really hot. You know, summer clothes up there are still kind of thick cotton kind of stuff. Down here you really need light fabrics that breathe a lot, and so I was able to get something appropriate for this weather, and I'm just super psyched about that. I'm heading right now to Trader Joe's, gonna get some dog food for the boys, well, for the boy and the girl, and then I'm gonna go grocery shopping at Publix later, and just go back home and apply for some jobs and just have a relaxing weekend. I may go down to a couple of the Disney resorts with Sally, the woman that I'm living with right now. She likes to, well, she does it as sort of a side gig where she goes shopping at the resorts and, you know, at the parks and stuff, and people all around the country who aren't able to come to Disney right now pay her as a personal shopper, and so I like to go along with her. I haven't seen some of these resorts. I went to the Polynesian resort the other day and the Grand Floridian. I'm going to go to the Key West resort. I'm going to go to Contemporary. I hope to go to the Animal Kingdom resort. So I'm just really enjoying my life, and I'm working hard to get back on my feet. Within a month, I've got a major thing that's going to be going on. I need to finance this car so that I can buy it out. I finally paid off the lease. Last payment of the lease just went out a couple days ago, and now I just have to come up with some way to pay the fees that I owe on it, and maybe a little bit of the depreciation so that I can get a loan and purchase it. But obviously I need a job first, so, you know, my goal is, and I've now set a goal, because, you know, my goal before was like, I need to get a job, but that's not a goal. A goal is when you set a timeline and you have a plan on how you're going to do it. So my goal is, ooh, wow, this lighting is crazy right now. My goal is to have a job offer by next Friday. That's a lot to sort of put on my plate, but I have found a lot of different jobs that I'm applying for right now, and I am confident that this is going to happen. So here's to that. Thanks you guys for watching my channel. I've gotten to my destination now, and I'm going to sign off, but thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I hope to have new and interesting content coming up for you guys soon. So thanks again. This is Brian from Brianopolis. See you next time.